again for coming. I'm going to be talking about TESOL Foundations and Teaching English with Technology. And we're going to start with thinking about why we need TESOL, okay? First of all, why do we need it and what does it stand for? Teaching English to speakers of other languages, right? Or TEFL if it's foreign language like here in South Korea. And we need to think about why we are serving so many English learners, why we want to teach English. Think about across the world, the amount of English that is spoken, who is teaching English, who is learning English. We'll look a little bit at a situation within China, also here within South Korea, and we will think about the importance of TESOL for all of you. And I'll talk a little while, and then I'll ask you all to do an activity. So be paying attention so you're prepared for the activity, okay? So who speaks English as a first language within the world? And who speaks English as a second language or a foreign language? All of the blue areas here, of course, are areas where we have English spoken as a first language. The US, the UK, Australia. Yeah, you know. And the light blue areas are areas, countries where we have English, usually after the British Empire, where there's a lot of English spoken, but not as a first language. This is a map from 1997. So now, let's look at more recently, from 2013. In this case, the green is the one where we have countries that speak English as a first language. But you can notice that there isn't a lot of difference in terms of the number of countries. Still, so many countries are needing more and more people to be English teachers. Over time, there's just more and more demand for people to be learning English, especially in their own countries. So we can learn English abroad, we can learn English at home. How many learners go abroad and how many learn at home? According to John Nag, who attended the TESOL 2014 conference as a lead representative of the British Council, the number of English language learners worldwide is up to 1.5 billion. It's a lot of language learners. And according to 2006 Cambridge University, learners and users of English in China add up to about 200 to 350 million. So let's think about where they're learning English. Okay, China as an example. About 300,000 Chinese students study English in some part of the world, maybe about 200,000 within the US. But that's only 0.1% of all the people, Chinese people who are learning English. That means 99.9% of Chinese people learning English are learning English where? In China, right? In China. Native English-speaking teachers, okay, can never supply that kind of demand. And that's why we need non-native English-speaking teachers teaching English. That's so important to satisfy the world demand. We have more and more non-native speakers teaching English, right, and doing a great job. What about South Korea? Here's a table that shows with, last few years, the different countries that people go to, USA, Australia, UK, Canada, okay? So let's say approximately 150,000 students go abroad. But in the country, people are learning English elementary school, middle school, high school, university, people who are looking for jobs. So again, the majority of English learners in South Korea are studying in South Korea, right? Not going abroad. So again, who's going to teach them English? It's going to be you guys, right? Yeah, it's going to be you. Yeah. It's going to be you. Now, why do people want to learn English? TESOL not only provides a means to live and work and travel, but it's really important for opportunities and empowering English learners and speakers. not just business or education or foreign service or affairs, but entertainment, getting to know people, cultures, even singing karaoke in English. So many things we can communicate and understand and learn through English, right? So English has become an important part for life for South Koreans and many people in the world. So here's time for your activity. I want you to think about why you want to be an English teacher. What is it that you are interested in? In order to be the best teachers we can be, it's useful to think about our interests and our own backgrounds and where we came from. So I want you to think about these questions. And you have a piece of paper there, and it should be on the top of it. You should see something about why you want to become an English teacher. And here are some questions. Okay? Here's some questions. If you could spend about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, talking to a friend is definitely a good idea nearby, and writing some of the answers to these questions, right? We ask our students to interact in class, so it's always great if we're willing to interact and think about things during class, workshops as well, right? So what methods worked best for you? What skills do you want to focus on as a language teacher? What are your strengths and your weaknesses as a teacher? How do you want to develop more? And why is teaching English or majoring in English important to you? Okay, 5 minutes. We'll check back in 5, 6 minutes. Okay, and we're going to walk around and we're going to turn this in at the end. Okay. Okay, so give me some stuff here. Does someone want to share with us any reasons why English is important to you? Teaching or learning English is important to you? Anyone want to share? One person? Yeah.
Because English is the lingua franca of international world, all around the world. It is the language of commerce. That's very good.
When you travel to another country, if you speak some English, wow, much easier to get around, right?
Esperanto didn't quite have the takeoff. Unfortunately.
Okay. And also this Korean is very popular in Asian countries.
Korea is looked upon as the kind of, it's looked from Southeast Asian countries especially towards makeup and music and things like that. Yeah.
Anybody else have things to share about learning or teaching English? thinking, deep in thought, yeah? Okay, that's okay. We'll go to the next thing. You'll have another opportunity to share in a few minutes. So as a TESOLer, you are not only learning how to teach, but you are developing really important professional skills, right? Your portfolio, which I'm sure that you have already thought about many of these things. It's important to understand past and current teaching methods and theories and how you can become the best teacher within your situation. Understanding yourself as a teacher, which is why I asked you to answer those questions. Explaining what goes into your classroom. You know, if you become a teacher, many times you'll have interview questions. Why do you choose the activities you do? What makes a good teacher? How can you motivate your students? So to be able to explain those things is very important. Observing your own developmental process as a language learner and as a teacher is very helpful so that you can help your students. Being innovative in how you use technology, different teaching techniques. I think now is the best time to be a language teacher with all the exciting ways to use technology and all the audio and video that's available to make it so much more authentic and interesting for so many classes. To be engaged in the current issues of TESOL and collaborate with fellow TESOLers, right? So as you become a TESOLer, you meet other TESOLers around the world. In fact, I met someone who is a TESOLer here in Seoul, and there was just a person at my hotel, someone who knew we both have a similar friend that we know. So the TESOL community is big, but it can be small at the same time. Within the certificate program, who are we? I thought I would introduce us. Maybe you recognize two people up here. You'll see me at the top, okay? There I am. So I will be teaching in the fall a lot with the TESOL Foundations and Methods course, along with the technology class. And then, yes, here is Dr. Park, okay? And she's in all of the videos explaining different things. Over here, we have Dr. Edna Lima, who especially is working with teaching English with technology. And then up on the top is Dr. Michelle O'Malley, who does a lot of work with the TESOL Methods and Foundations also for the fall classes. So this is introducing who we are. We like to even make videos interactive, asking for opinions, to think about things, do activities. So I thought we could do another little group activity, okay? In this group activity, I want you to think about ways to be a little bit more creative and engaging with your students. If you want to get to know your students, then you could just ask them to fill out a survey, like you filled out a survey a few minutes ago for me. You could ask them just write some answers, turn it in, I will read it. Or you could try to make an activity that was a little bit more engaging and interactive for your students. So I want us to try to think of some interactive activities. So you have a handout in your packet that asks you to think about creating a short get-to-know-you lesson. And I highly recommend you work with a person around you and talk about some ideas. It makes it more interesting. You can speak English or Korean, whatever you want. Spanish, Japanese, Esperanto, okay? And so the first thing to do is to list all the things you need to consider when you make this activity. Well, would you want to have the activity be pair work or group work? How many minutes should it take? What skills do you want to focus on with your students? What would their proficiency level maybe be? How old? And what do you want to know about your students in order to be the best teacher you can for them? And what would be not a good idea, inappropriate to ask your students? Okay, so pick some of those and think about them and make a list. And then In the second part, explain your activity. What might you do to try to get to know your students? Would you have some kind of discussion? What might you do? And you can include the questions as well as some of the directions that you would give students. So, do we have anyone who wants to share an idea about what type of activity you could do? Anyone who has an idea? Yes, ma'am. Great. And then having them explain about themselves a little bit with the animation clip?
Like Be Bears or some kind of Adventure Time is really famous between younger people. I want to show them to learn English through the YouTube.
And you want to show those to them? Yeah. And then if you want to make sure that you learn information about your students, you might ask your students to explain which character they're most similar to, right? And then they could explain something about themselves, maybe their interests, their hobbies, something you would like to know about them. Yeah, great. Other ideas? Yeah.
We haven't had much time for specific activity, but we talked about the directions. So when there are a group of students, there might be some students who are shy, not really like to talk. So we may have one method is asking a few questions to just one or two students, and then they will explain themselves about it, and then the other class will understand the guideline. And the other method is 2 or 3 people are in a group. So there might be someone who wants to speak. So after a discussion, one person can talk about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Those are great ideas. I don't know how well you could all really hear, but ideas on the ways to get students to want to participate, to feel comfortable, that people who feel a little more comfortable to begin the conversation, and people who are a little more shy to have a little more time and practice. So thank you. Those are both great ideas. We're going to move on then and look at how we might, you mentioned using YouTube and technology. Maybe some of the rest of you also thought of activities that are related to technology. Because, of course, today, students really want technology. They're no longer simply studying languages from textbooks, right? They look for useful multimedia tools to learn English, to save time, to learn English more efficiently. They also want to use audio recordings to practice and things like that. But now we have to have, as teachers, more expertise in using technology in the classroom. So in fact, if you wanted to, we're not going to do this right now, but if you wanted to, you could go back later and think about the activity that you created a minute ago and ask yourself, how might you add technology to this? Maybe it already includes technology, but if it doesn't, you could think, how can you add technology to this activity in a way that would still serve your goal of getting to know your students, right? Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to get some information from you about technology, okay? Have any of you heard of Poll Everywhere? Anybody? Okay. So I'm going to ask you to go to get your smartphones and go to this link, okay? Let me look real quick here. What happened to our other link? Oh, here it is. Here, this link, sorry. I tried to make it easier because the other link had my name spelling. It's very difficult to spell my name. So come please to this link, tinyurl.com in your browser, /cuffs. TESOL. But you have to spell it right. You should be able to type in your answer to the first question, which is, what technological tools have you used when you've been studying English? Wow. YouTube's, your phone. Type your answer in there and we can all see it up here. Does anybody use Google to learn information about English? ESL Lab, English listening, movies. Oh, good. Robot teachers, wow. It's full? Okay. Oh, okay. Full is full. Okay. Maybe it's not full. Pop songs, good. Ooh, Facebook, right, that's right. CNN, yeah. Oh, Kindle, nice. Audible books, yeah? Good. TED Talks. TED Talks, yeah? Oh, Rosetta Stone, okay. All right. We're going to do 2 more, and we're going to be done, okay? Apps. Okay. I'm gonna close you down here. Last radio, okay? Radio, wow. Oh, phone. Okay, I'm leaving you. Okay. Sorry, anybody who got cut off there. Oh, there's another one. I'm sorry. Hold on. Next question. How have these tools helped you practice and learn English? Grammar, listening, vocabulary. You can play it over and over, right? That's very nice. A computer never gets aggravated with you if you do it over and over. Oh, native speakers, nice. Yeah, authentic material, right? Native speakers, expressions, good. So you can see how we can use technology even though you're being quiet. I think I see you concentrating, right? I see you thinking and participating. So it's important to remember that participation doesn't always mean just talking. You know, a person can be engaged in learning and use technology in ways that they feel more comfortable. And I think tools like Poll Everywhere or Kahoot or Socrative are very nice for helping students feel more comfortable in their learning. Okay, authentic expressions, nice job. Newspapers, okay. Now we're coming back here. Okay, so I think you noticed some of these things. Technology is important because it brings us relevant information, authentic information. Also, you can give students actual examples of things, right? Not just talk about things, but show actual examples. You have easy access to language materials with online learning, with resources, and also in your classes, you can do things like online and in class together, which we call blended learning or hybrid learning, where you have some online and you have some in class. That can increase a lot of motivation. So we move from a model where the teacher is giving all the information to the student and the student is listening, to a model where the teacher and the student are interacting together more and students can interact with each other more easily. So this is a main benefit of technology, especially in blended learning. And it also increases collaboration and autonomy, right? So autonomy being that ability for your students learning English to think of what their goals are, what their motivations are, and to come up with ways that help them learn English. If you'll be taking the Teaching English with Technology class, Dr. Lima will be showing you so many different tools that are available now. Sometimes I think with technology, what's hard is there's so many things out there. It's hard to know which one to use, how to use it the best, how to give clear directions, keep up with all of the information. So the Teaching English with Technology class does a great job of explaining all those things and giving step-by-step instructions. We're not going to do this activity. We're going to skip. Do some of you use Google Docs? Raise your hand so I know if you use Google Docs. Oh, okay. Some of you. You didn't put that on your survey. Okay. And of course, with online language learning as well, people can learn anywhere. And in our university, we use both Blackboard and Moodle. So for part of the course that we'll be doing with you for the online discussion forum, we'll be using a Moodle, which is a course management system. Moodle is an open source one, which means it can be developed by many different people and customized to a location. But it offers lots of ways to be interactive within your class. Okay, we're going to skip this. Oh. And we'll close with thinking about some of the advantages and disadvantages of online learning that we have tried to bring into these classes as well with the videos that we have. Of course, you can save time and money, and you can watch the videos over and over. The videos, you know, it's nice when videos include not just talking, but some text on the screen as well, so that you can keep up with the materials. You don't have to be worrying so much about misplacing things since everything is together online. Of course, as a teacher, it's nice to keep track of all the different grades and the materials when everything is online. I like to grade everything online. I think it makes everything a lot easier than if you grade on paper. And sometimes grading can be automated as well. So with larger classes, that makes it a lot easier. Of course, there are some disadvantages. There's not so much face-to-face interaction. That's why in an online class, it's very helpful to have the videos, to have some types of videos that are more informal, just to get to know your teacher a little bit. That helps quite a bit. Sometimes it can be more work, right? Depending on the type of learner you are and the type of teacher you are, it can actually take more time to teach and learn online. You have to get used to it, right? Have good habits, as you know, because it takes a lot of self-discipline. So thank you. I would like to ask at this time if you have any questions about anything.